On the record with TTFA Secretary General Sheldon Phillips. Sheldon, we were talking earlier on about the state of football, and what's coming up big right now for you guys is the FA Trophy.
That's correct.
All right. Last year they played for no money.
Yes, unfortunately.
This year you all managed to jump up with about 100 grand.
Yeah, from 0 to 100.
So that's the best of what we can do right now?
Yeah, certainly from where we were last year. And
certainly.
I believe,
it's 100,000 better.
100,000 better than what was given out last year. But I think the previous year where an award was given was, if I'm not mistaken, 80,000 and 50,000. So for us to come back within a relatively short space of time within the Tim Key administration and make that statement, it's a positive statement. And once again, I think shows our commitment to what really is the most prestigious, or should be the most prestigious domestic tournament in the country. It's a fantastic history. It's actually one of the oldest team competitions in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, it is.
So the FA Cup has a tremendous amount of history. I mean, I grew up with the stories of the FA Cup. Certainly from my father and from my uncles and so on. So I'm certainly proud to be part of the efforts to kind of bring it back to life.
Do you think that this is a barometer of how the corporate community in Trinidad is viewing this new Tim Key administration? Because I mean, it got licks under the former stewards. Yeah,
I mean, I think we're starting the doors are opening up for us where previously calls weren't even answered. So I think not only from a corporate T&T side, but also government. I think what Mr. Tim Key was able to do very early on in this tenure was to normalize relationships with the government sector. Minister Roberts and sport and so on, and other elements of the government. They are major stakeholders. Same thing could be said about corporate T&T. So we're having good discussions with several potential commercial partners. I mean, call them partners because we're really not in the sponsorship business. We want to grow the association and really help the partners that we're teaming up with grow their businesses and their market share, utilizing football as the vehicle. So we really see a very strong collaborative effort with anybody who comes on board with us.
This week, the MLS opened 2 new expansion franchises. Orlando City and New York City.
Yeah.
MLS will now, they're pushing for 24 teams by 2020. They're now at 19 teams. These would bring it to 21 teams. In terms of the context of that pro league that they were talking about, Caribbean Professional League, how do you see that growth happening from where you sit right now?
Well, I mean, I think the talk about the Caribbean League, the regional league, has been around for a number of years, and it's really started to pick up even more over the past month, certainly since the summit that took place in Cayman Islands last month, combination FIFA and CONCACAF production, and the topic was put on the table, and as a result of the discussion that ensued, President Webb, CONCACAF President Webb, decided to put together a task force to look at the different models that are available, and some really interesting models that are being put on the table right now. But my personal opinion is that it could certainly work, but like everything else, it all depends on the way it's implemented. And so, but I think what's happening in North America with MLS, with the USL, with NESL, it definitely augurs well for players from Trinidad and Tobago, because what it does, it provides even more competitive football closer to home.
How many Trinidad players play in MLS?
Well, right now? MLS, if I'm not mistaken, fluctuates between 4 and 6. Right. Players.
Well, I remember originally they were talking about the MLS as going to be this great employer of Trini talent, which we saw never really.
Well, at the end of the day, the players have to perform. And Major League Soccer has a foreign player limit, where teams are, they're restricted to, a certain amount of non-American players. Even the Canadian teams have to abide by this foreign player limit, and Canadian players are considered foreigners within
their
MLS.
own country.
Yeah, so it's a league that's extremely competitive.
But what is CONCACAF doing about that? How is what backroom what do you want to see on that level?
Well, as I mentioned, before, the players have to respond. The players have to be the ones that would earn their spot on the team. What we can do, certainly on a national team level, on a local club level, and CONCACAF level, is broaden our development programs. So the 8-year-old and the 10-year-old really has an opportunity to develop to the best of their ability. So when they're playing at 15, 16 years old, they're not making the same mistakes, the technical mistakes that a 12-year-old shouldn't make. So our development programs are very important and would directly impact our players' ability to not only make a team in MLS, but be on the starting 11.
Most of the top secondary school football teams will export players into the colleges system abroad, especially in the United States. But what we see is after that, there's a big fall off.
Yeah.
We don't see guys stepping up and playing pro. We don't see guys after they graduate. And I mean, some examples, like Scott Seeley, he would have left Wake Forest and went into playing.
Sure.
Right? And he did pretty well in his first year. And then, I mean, injuries notwithstanding, he dropped off there. But what do we see as that gap filler right now?
Well, there's several gaps that we have to look at. What you're talking about, what you're referring to, the college. One of the challenges with college players that have participated in the U.S. colleges, is not enough football being played. They're restricted in their training with their teams by NCAA rules. And then also the spring season, when they start back up, is not at the level it should be if you're really aspiring to become a professional footballer. The summertime is also a period, a fairly dormant period, for many of the players. So what our players have to do is they have to understand that in order for them to get to that level, that professional level, they have to practice their craft on a daily basis. There's no day off. So when there's no season, the so-called off-season is when you really have to train harder.
And you speak from experience. You were a college player, and you did play some. What was that?
Well, where I went to college, USC, we didn't have a soccer team. It was actually an American football school. So at that time, I played indoor soccer with the old MISL, and then the ethnic leagues actually were the big thing around. The NASL had just folded, so the best football that you can really get onto were the ethnic leagues. And for me and many others, we enjoyed playing. So playing for hours on end on a daily basis was a treat. I think today the players and there's people in general have many more options. There's a lot of competition. So in order for you to really attain that level, that professional level, you have to be really dedicated and sacrifice certain things. You can't live like everybody else if you want to, be exceptional at this sport. And as my father used to say, you can't soar with the eagles in the morning and stay out with the owls at night. So you have to make a choice.
Now, Kobos also soar. I'm just saying.
But the eagle is a much better looking bird.
Well, we don't have many eagles here anyway, but maybe somebody might mistake a Kobo.
Coming for an eagle.
I'm just saying. But, one of the things that took place last week was Chris Burchell. He retired from international football. Still a young guy, so, retired Trini style could mean anything, So, Chris, call us. All right, but he mentioned that he has a strong replacement. He sees a lot of replacements coming back in. So just quickly, because we only have one more minute on the show, I just want to say thank you to Chris Burchell. But what do you see coming up in the?
Well, I think we have an array of really nice young talent coming up, and I think we saw that in the Jamaica game here at Hazley Crawford Stadium. Players like Wendell Winchester. Certainly Atula Guerra. I mean, these guys that are coming up are fantastic players now. Hopefully they'll kind of really continue, putting that the pedal down and not letting up, because now is the period of time in their careers where people are now expecting more out of them. But we're really excited about the players that are coming up. So Chris is absolutely correct. He should be excited. We're excited about what's coming up. And I say to people, practice your Russian, because we're going to be in Russia in 2018.
Quickly, when is Mr. Tim Key coming on the show?
Well, you'll have to ask Mr. Timke.
Mr. Tim, I'm asking you.
I am not Mr. Timke's schedule.
I know. You can call him right now.
I can certainly put in a good word for you. He's a big fan of Wii Sports. And
I know he's the mayor of Port of Spain, and that's not going to be an easy job. But, mayor, hopefully he ain't going to tow my car. But, Mr. Tim Key, this is a shout out to you. I want to get you on the show. There are some questions that only you should answer. All right, about Trinidad and Tobago football. Certainly. All right. So don't forget, if you're going on, if you're watching us online, click right there. It's subscribe. I want you all to subscribe to the channel. If you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, tell more friends so they can pound me. I don't care, really. Actually, not too hard. All right. Follow me on Twitter at TT Game Plan, and also Fridays in Metro Magazine, and you're free in your Guardian. You can catch my Sportline column. That's the bottom line in sports. So you can check it out. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, we're on the beach watching beach volleyball with Ayana Diet and Nancy. So, go on.